Rick and Thad.
What's good, people? Thanks for choosing Total Payout Podcast. It's your boy Trouble. March 27, 2026. Good Friday. Good Friday. Beautiful day. Got 4 picks in the NBA for you today. Gonna go ahead and handicap these picks. We got Miami versus Cleveland. We got Atlanta versus Boston. We got Utah versus Denver. And we also got Chicago versus OKC. So let's see what we go ahead and come up with today and go ahead and cash out. Now, the first game we're going to handicap going to be Atlanta versus Boston. Third meeting, January 17th. First meeting, home game for Atlanta. Boston minus 3.5, 132, 106. Over the total of 230. Second meeting, January 28th. Home game for Boston. Atlanta plus 5.5. Atlanta money line 117, 106. Under the total of 232. Now, head-to-head last 10. 5-5 straight up last 10. Atlanta 6-4 against the spread. The total is even 5-5 as well. Now, Atlanta's profile over 5-1 last 6, over 4-1 last 5 in March, and the over is 21-15 overall, and they're 12-9 to the over versus the East away from home. Now, Boston profile, they're under 12-5 the last 12-5 last 17. They're 5-0 under last 5 versus the East, and they're 14-22 under at home overall, and they're 8-14 under versus the East at home. Now, Boston and Atlanta, they average around 233 in this game. Total came out like 222. Obviously, I'm tipping my hat. I like the over. Like I say, they average around 233. They're kind of hedging. The first two totals was 230, 232. So they're going low, 222. I understand it in a sense because Boston's at home, so I do understand it. But Atlanta is balling right now. It's not like Atlanta's in some kind of drought offensively. They're actually putting up points. And Boston's not necessarily playing the best D right now, so I can see another over for Boston at home. Now, the second game we're going to handicap is going to be the Miami versus Cleveland game. Now, this is going to be their fourth meeting. November 10th was their first meeting. Home game for Miami. Miami plus 7.5, 140, 138 overtime game over the total of 247. And then the second meeting, November 12th, home game for Miami. Cleveland plus 5.5, Cleveland 130, 116 over the total of 239. And then the third game, March 25th, home game for Cleveland, Miami plus 2.5, Miami 120, 103 under the total of 243. Now, head-to-head, Cleveland 7-3 last 10, 5-5 against the spread is even, and then over 7-3 last 10. Now, Miami is 9-4 against the spread last 13, but they're 1-5 straight up last 6, and they're 6-1 against the spread last 7 against Cleveland, at Cleveland. Now, Cleveland 1-5 against the spread last 6, 4-1 straight up last 5, and they're 0-4-1 against the spread last 5 at home. So they're bleeding right now. Been calling them out, man. They need Jared back bad. They did play the other day on the 25th. Miami beat Cleveland in Cleveland, 120-103. So this would be a get back game for Cleveland in a sense. Home and away spreads against the spread. Miami 14-7 away from home, and Cleveland is 7-14-1 at home against the spread. So not good, bleeding, giving away money, man. I'm gonna go ahead and roll with the dog. Miami plus 5.5 in this game. I don't like I've been saying, man. Without Jared Allen, I don't like Cleveland. They're not playing right. Their roles are not right. You know, they're too guard heavy for one out the gate, and then they're literally relying on their guards right now, and they don't have elite guards. They don't have size at the guards position, and then at that, a lot of their other guards are out, like Tyson, and so it's tough right now for me to trust Cleveland right now against another team on the hunt. So like I said, I'm taking Miami plus 5.5 in that game. Book it. Now the third game we're going to handicap is going to be Chicago versus OKC. Second meeting, March 3rd, first meeting, home game for Chicago. Chicago covered plus 9.5, OKC 116, 108 under the total of 230. Now, head-to-head last 10, OKC 7-3 last 10, OKC 7-2-1 against the spread last 10, and the totals are even 5-5. Now, Chicago is under 10. The under in Chicago games is 10-5 last 15, and the over is hit 5-2 the last 7 as a dog. Now, OKC is under 9-3 their last 12, and they're under 6-2 their last 8 versus the Eastern Conference. Home and away splits: Chicago 9 and 15, 19-15 over under overall, and OKC is 17 and 19 over under overall. Now in this game, pretty much I'm tipping my hand, man. I like the total. I like it under 238. My personal line: OKC minus 17, total around 230. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll with the under in this game. I do think OKC's defense prevails at home. You know, Chicago's just trying to get to the finish line, get the season over with. I'm hearing rumblings about Donovan getting out of there, so as far as the coach being a coach, so it's kind of looking like this the end of this little regime they got going on right now. Hopefully they can get AK up out of there too. I'm tired of him. So I don't want to rant on this pick, but yeah, like I said, I like the under in that pick. Hopefully the Bulls show a little bit of resistance and play a little bit of defense as well. They offense, I'm thinking OKC gonna go ahead and shut them down. We'll be lucky to score 100 points. I'm praying OKC plays D. So we're gonna take that under 238 and a half. Now the fourth and final game we're gonna handicap is gonna be Utah versus the Denver Nuggets. Now it's the third meeting. First meeting happened December 22nd. Home game for Denver. Denver minus 12 and a half came through 135, 112 under 251. Second game March 2nd. Home game for Utah. Utah plus 11 and a half. Denver 128, 125 over the total of 242. Now this head-to-head last 10. Denver 9 and 1 straight up last 10. Denver 7 and 3 against the spread last 10, and the under is 6 and 4 last 10. Now Utah over 4 and 1 last 5. Utah over 6 and 2 last 8 versus the West, and Utah 16 and 19 over under away from home overall. Denver 10 and 5 under last 15 versus Utah. Denver over 5 and 1 last 6 versus the West, and Denver 17 and 1 at home as far as the total overall. So they're pretty much split with a push in there. Now on this game, it's another total for me. I'm gonna go ahead and take this game under 248 in the hook. My numbers coming out: Denver minus 7, around 237, 236. You know what I mean? So I'm getting 10 points based on my line. Like I always say, I like to go if I see something sticking out. If it's 7 points or more either way, over or under, I'm gonna take it. So I love the under in this game. It could very well go over. I'm hoping Denver plays a little defense. We know Denver defense is shabby. Their anchor is not necessarily a defensive player, but hopefully the Utah shows a little resistance, and then Denver shows a little resistance, and we get that under 248. Like I said, it's 10 points under. It can go way over, but we're gonna take that under just based off the nature. It's the end of the season. It's winding down. Superstars want to get a little rest. So hopefully we can get that in the game and then go under that 248 in the hook. So let's go ahead and recap the games we got today. We're gonna go ahead and take Miami plus 5.5 over Cleveland. Like I said, no Jared Allen. Cleveland is on the auto fade. We got the Atlanta and Boston game going over 222 in the hook. Like I said, Atlanta's on the heater right now, so I think they contest Boston. I think they make Boston work for the W. If they're going to win that game, they're going to have to score some points. I don't think it's going to be a flat line. They made Detroit work the other night, and Detroit ended up losing that game, but they were down 20, almost 20 at halftime. I think like 19 points at halftime. So they're gonna make you work for it at this point, looking at how Atlanta wants to play. And then the third game we're gonna take is Chicago and OKC. We're taking that under 238 in the hook. Like I said, I think OKC gonna shut Chicago down. I don't think they care to score 140 points. So let's go ahead and get that under 238 in the hook. And then we're taking Denver and Utah under 248 in the hook. Let's hope Denver plays a little defense. Let's hope Utah plays a little defense, and let's hope we can sneak under that 248. It's a high total, so hopefully we can sneak under it. Now I want to thank you guys for tuning in. This is Total Payout Podcast. Your host Trouble. I appreciate you guys' time. Please give me a like, comment, and subscribe at the end of this video. Greatly appreciate it. You guys have a great Friday, March 27th, 2026. Have a great one, man. I appreciate it. Stay out the way, like I always say. Thank you.
Hey, Rick and Thad.